Hi, this is the Black Bear Prepper, and today I want to do an unboxing video, which I hate online, but I want to do a little twist on it. My biggest hatred on YouTube is somebody that takes a box like this one, opens it up, and says, I just got this knife. It is the greatest knife I've ever owned. You just opened it. How do you know it's the greatest knife you've ever owned? Well, this is my favorite knife I've ever owned. Now I can say that because it is exactly like the same knife I've carried for the last 10 years. Identical, actually. Now, some people will say, well, why'd you get a new one? We'll get into that in a second. One, this is a Benchmade, of course, from the box. We're going to open it up. And it is the 550 Griptilian Benchmade, done in their amazing handle and the 154 cm blade with the assisting hole and the shepherd's foot blade. Okay, it has what I consider to be one of the greatest, clip systems on here. I've snapped all brands of hooks on seat belts over and over and over again. These guys I can't seem to snap. They're completely ambidextrous knives. I love the axis lock system. But I know what you're thinking. Well, he just likes them because he carries that knife. I don't want to do this to show off knives, but I also don't want people to think that I only own one knife. Okay? I own hundreds of knives. But I've shown you knives like Victorinox Swiss Army knives, which I love. I love Victorinox Swiss Army knives. These are $30, $40, $50 knives. No big deal, right? Maybe you're a Kershaw fan, or you've got one of the old trades, something like that, which I've had for years, and I've carried those. Maybe you're a Leatherman fan. Maybe you want to spend $150 on a Leatherman. That's fine, too. I'm not saying don't. Maybe you really are a Kershaw fan with a flipper, an assisted opening. I hate these knives, but I have them because I wanted to try them out. Make sure this is a knife I don't want to carry. I have the next two knives, of course, would be the Griptilian I've carried every day, every single day, for the last 10 years. Okay? This is the knife I put in my pajamas when I go to bed at night. This is the knife I carry every single day. We'll get into why I bought the exact same knife again here in a minute. I also have the Griptilian with the chip point blade and the serrated edge in the desert camo. So I've had that design that I really like. Now you're saying, okay, well those are reasonably priced knives, $100, whatever, no big deal. Maybe you're a Spyderco fan. This is the Spyderco Rescue Assist, $154 knife. Fairly good knife. I like that for when I'm doing certain jobs. This is a Spyderco Sutherland. Great knife. Still would not carry it every day. Has some issues. How about a 250 plus knife? This is the one of the Chris Reeves knives. Probably one of the best knives ever made. As far as quality-wise, truthfully believe that. And for you Chris Reeves fans out there, they are very great knives, and I don't ever want to put down a Chris Reeves knife. Not a knife I'd carry every day. For a bunch of reasons. But let's kind of get back to my favorite knife of all time. Why do I like this knife? It is, as nothing fancy will tell you, is a sub 4 ounce knife. So it weighs 3.8 ounces. I've actually seen mine a little closer to the 3.6, 3.7. I'm sure that's what scale you put them on. When I weighed them, I was at 3.6 ounces. So I don't feel too bad about the weight. The reason it's so light is because it is a skeletonized metal frame internally in there. Now the metal frame that's in there is 440C steel. Same thing with the clip. Very tough, very durable, great steel. Tends not to rust very easily. It's all stainless. And then you have a fiber reinforced plastic handle, you know, and there's all kinds of, you know, you can use all kinds of funny words for that, but it is basically a very tough knife. Now, everybody goes, well, what happens if it breaks? Well, let's kind of get back to this one. And I know you guys can't see that, but there's chips out here where I've actually pried on the handle and actually tried to break the handle, trying to get it to work. I've lost screws in the handle. They were nice enough to send me new ones. But I really want you guys to see what I mean by I've carried it for 10 years. Now, if you guys can see this, the blade is about 1/4 inch short and about 1/8 to 1/4 inch thinner than the new blade. Now, some of you will be asking, why don't you just send the knife back and get a brand new blade? Because Benchmade is awesome. They're made here in America. For $30, you send it in, and they put a brand new blade on here. I didn't want to be without my knife until the new blade came. So I bought another one. Plus, I wanted to show you guys, when I say I've used a knife for 10 years, I've used it. You know, I'm a professional knife sharpener. It's been my job for several years now. This is what I do, is sharpen knives. I've sharpened hundreds and hundreds of knives. This knife gets abused. It opens boxes. It pries on stuff. I have batoned with this knife. You should not do that. It's not meant for that, and I'm not saying it is. I have beaten this knife to a bloody pulp on all kinds of trips, and it is always with me. It's the knife that is always in my pocket. When I go on trips, if I have a big fixed blade, this is what backs it up. I do like straight blade knives because they're easy to sharpen. I do like the 154 cm steel that's in here, which is amazing. I love the axis lock system, which basically is the locking mechanism. It can be pulled from either side, up or down. And I know that's going to be hard for everybody to see, but basically, I'm going to move it up and down with my other finger here. It allows you to use it either side or either hand. So I can sit there, and I'm horrible with my left hand, but I can open it and close it with my left hand just as easy as with my right hand. Now, you big Chris Reeves fans out there will go, oh, yeah, you've got a pin on both sides. If you try to open a Chris Reeves knife with your left hand, it locks up because you're pushing on the locking mechanism at the same time. I don't like that. I have a boy and my wife are left-handed. So I like being able to hand them a knife that if I hand them, they're going to be able to open it. You know, that is a big problem if you're left-handed. If I injure my hand or my hand is stuck, maybe I'm an idiot that got stuck inside of a rock and had to chop off his own arm. It happens. I want a knife that's going to be able to do that. Now, do I think this is the best knife ever made? No. I think it is the most usable knife ever made. Meaning that if I'm using it, and I've used it for all kinds of things, cutting sandwiches and doing all that other stuff, which it does great at. I've used it for opening boxes. I've used it for batoning, to make fires. I've made fire sticks with them, all kinds of things. They hold up very well, and the locking mechanism is amazing. I truthfully believe one of my favorite locking mechanisms, and one reason and one reason only. If I pull down, I can open the knife without having my fingers in the way. If I sit there and I've got this Kershaw here, I've got to put my fingers in the direction of the blade and close it with my fingers in the blade direction. I don't like that. Plus, if I'm left-handed, now I have to reach around and push back with two hands. Most of the time I pull this knife, I only have one hand free and I'm trying to cut something. So I'm going to open it, close it as much as I want with one hand and put it away. It has a full ambidextrous clip system. I can put the clip on the right or the left based on what it is. It is a tip down. That is the only position I like. There is other knives out there that have, this is a tip up position when it's in your pocket. There's other knives that have the clip mechanism on both sides so you can actually clip it to either side, which is nice. Don't get me wrong. I like that. I have never liked anything but tip up. So when I reach in my pocket, I can flip it open without having to move it in my hand. I want to be able to hold on to my knife. The Ergonomics are awesome. Nothing fancy. Did not like the jimping that's on the back here. that allows you to hold on to your hand there. I actually do like these because I use it every single day. I'm not as much worried about the idea of how hard or how tight I have to be able to push to grip it. I've used it for skinning animals. I've used it for all kinds of things. So to me, the jimping on here is very usable every day, and it's not going to wear out your thumb. I've had knives where it's so sharp that it tears up your thumb. That the holes on the actual knife or the, I like the hole versus the thumb stud. Thumb studs are fine. I'm a big fan of straight blades for a knife I'm going to use every day. For cutting rope and things like that, serrated knives are great. That's why when I go into the mountains, this will be a knife I'll carry on me. This knife will still be on me. But I'll carry this knife as my rescue knife if I'm going to have to cut somebody out of a rope, because we do a lot of ropes courses and scouting and things like that. So I like serrated blade knives for that reason. As you can see, most of my knives are pretty well abused because they actually get abused. This one is going to go back here in the next few weeks to have a new blade put on. So we'll come back looking like that. These, I think, for the bang for your buck, is the absolute best knife you can get. They are incredibly safe, being able to be dropped with one hand without putting your fingers in the way. They have a copper bushing in both sides, so even being an incredibly tight knife that almost has no play at all, still floats. Just as easy as it can be. I do not like assisted opening because I don't think it's necessary when a knife opens like that. These do not have ball bearings. Some of the knives out there do. I tend to think they corrode up easier and get junk in them. These tend to be so tight that I can't get dirt inside of them. This knife has never been cleaned. More than sticking a Q-tip in there and putting a drop of oil in every so often. And it has worked perfect for 10 plus years. The fiber handles, I've never had a problem with. The clip, I've never had a problem with. The 3-pin system on the clip is amazing. Now, a lot of people like a lower carry. I like a higher carry because I'm usually wearing gloves at work, and I want to be able to reach up there and grab it and pull it out of my pocket. I wanted to mention this because Benchmade has been so good to me. They're great people, easy to talk to, answer any question you have. They make an amazing product made here in America. But I feel if you're looking for a decent everyday carry knife, you absolutely cannot go wrong with this knife. If you like the chip point blade, go with the 551, which is basically, the only difference is one of them will have the sheep's foot, one of them will have the clip point, one will have the thumb stud in the 551, and one will have the hole in the 550 series. I like the hole, especially if you are a guy that likes Spyderco's. The spider hole is what Spyderco calls it. I like the hole. I think it's very easy to use. I think it works real good with gloves on and everything else, and it's very ambidextrous and it's easy to get. If you're a thumb stud fan, get the 551. They both come in either the combo or the straight edge. Again, pick what you're going to do 90% of the time. This cuts rope just fine. It does a great job on cutting rope. Does serrated do a little bit better job? Yes, in an emergency situation, a serrated knife tends to cut a little faster. Is it easy to sharpen? Serrated knives are not. So it's definitely something I want you to think about before you purchase. And most of the time I'd say start with a straight edge, and if you decide that down the road you need a serrated knife, then buy a serrated knife. But either one of these are great. Cost you about $100. They make a mini version if this is a little too big for your pocket. They make them in pink for your girlfriend or your wife if she likes pink knives. They make them in the desert tan, the olive drab, and the black. So a little bit of variety of colors if whatever kind of clothing you're trying to use. If you're a police officer or anybody else like that, these knives are meant to be abused and meant to be used every day. These are great knives, American made. Again, I can't say that enough. Being made in America is all around good for our industry. These are, again, the 551 Griptilian and the 550 Griptilian in 154 cm steel, which is one of my favorite steels out there. Easy to sharpen, holds a great edge, and tends to sharpen up very, very sharp over some of the other steels that are out, the super steels that are out there. Best locking mechanism on the market, and some of the lightest knives on the market. An ounce to 2 ounces lighter than most of the other knives in their class of size of blade and everything else. Is there lighter knives? Yes. I don't think they're worth it. Spend the $100, get yourself a knife that's going to last you, 10 plus years. Do I still use this knife? All the time. Like I said, this went to being my knife that I wear in my pajamas at night. And I've used this knife multiple times at night. So it's a good thing to have around. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the description box below or leave comments. I'd be happy to get back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to hear about something else or another knife you want me to compare, give me a holler. I'd be happy to talk about that too. You have a great day, and as always, Black Bear Prepper.